So how can you find a good lawyer to take your case? You might think that, well, if I have a case and I want to pay a lawyer, it's like going to any other company and just paying them money and I get to hire somebody. Well, you may be finding out that it's hard to get a lawyer to take your case. Or maybe you have a lawyer, but they're terrible. And you want to get a good lawyer this time. How do you do that? What's the best way to do it? How do people get good lawyers? Well, here's a very straightforward process you can use to locate, contact, and hire an excellent attorney and make them be responsive, make them answer your calls, make them be able to get back to you and actually take your case. How do we know this? Well, we've dealt with hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 attorneys and law firms in our experience as a licensed private investigative agency. We've done cases and done work for attorneys. Most of our cases we do are for law firms. And they tell us all the time why they don't take cases and why they don't deal with certain clients. We've also hired attorneys to work for us for corporate reasons, for different parts of the country. And we know also what goes into engaging with a law firm. We've done it many times, dozens of times. At the same time, we've worked with clients that hire us for investigations that have hired attorneys. We hear all the horror stories. We hear all the problems you have, and we can find the common denominators. So here's what you need to do if you want to hire a law firm to handle your case. First of all, write down on a piece of paper exactly what you're trying to accomplish with your case. Don't write down what the problems are. If it's a divorce case, the problem isn't, I need to get divorced. If it's a corporate contract dispute, your problem isn't, I'm having a dispute with this person. What you want to write down is what you want to have as an end result. I want to have a judgment in my favor for this contract. I want to have this divorce settlement agreed to. Maybe it's a probate case. Write down what the answer you want. Very concise. 2, maybe 3 sentences at the most. Start with that. Make sure you have that so you know yourself. You don't have to show it to anybody. This is not for any use outside of your own knowledge. Then, what you want to do is in the jurisdiction where this case would take place. Normally it's where you live. If you live in Chicago, maybe it's Cook County. You first look for attorneys online, start with Google, that are in that area geographically. And I said start with Google, but also look at Martindale, another legal lookup. Don't contact anybody. Go through the listings in Google, Martindale, and maybe some other legal directories. And quickly, at the attorney website, go to the section that says practice area. Every attorney law firm is going to have a section that says practice area. What that is a type of law that they do. For example, divorce attorney handles divorce. Corporate litigation handles corporate litigation. Some attorneys handle criminal defense. They defend people that are arrested. Some attorneys handle liability, car crashes, personal injury, right? They're different types of attorneys. You don't want to hire an attorney that doesn't do cases in your practice area, the kind of case you have. So you want to find them a law firm that has your practice area listed on their website. One that's listed as a practice area. Exclude the ones that don't have it. Now, you may find that a law firm that has more than one attorney, 2 or 3 or 4 attorneys, they may have more than one practice area. That's good. As long as it has the one you're looking for, keep them on the list and start keeping a list of the firms that have your practice area in the area you're located. Between all your sources, Google, Martindale, wherever else you look, make a list of 20 law firms that are prospects for you to connect with. Don't call them yet, though. Don't contact them yet, though. There's a few more things you have to do. Make that list. Now, let me back up a little bit. You might say, well, Dave, why do I have to go through all this work to find an attorney? Why not just start calling them up? Well, I have to tell you, thousands and thousands of clients over the years hired an attorney without doing this process, without performing this due diligence. And many of them ended up with an attorney that ruined their case. Maybe not because they were incompetent, maybe because of other reasons, and we'll get to those other reasons. Maybe they weren't ready to take a case. Maybe they weren't true litigators. Maybe they weren't a match for you as a person. We'll talk about that later. This effort at the beginning of a case is worth it. It's going to take you a few hours of work, 3 or 4 hours of work. I guarantee it. Don't take the easy way out and skip over this. If you skip over this, you're at risk of ending up with a nightmare case of an attorney that you want to help you for months and months, maybe years, and for a few hours up front, you could have made it easier for you. So don't skip these steps. So let's go back to the process. You have this list of 20 attorneys. You have a list of, or 20 law firms at least. Within each law firm, they will have maybe a list of attorneys. That's another thing you look at on their website. Attorney directory, partner directory. Who are their attorneys? Read through their bios. Read through each one of them, what they do. You're going to find that some of the attorneys in that firm don't work on the kind of cases you want. They only work on other practice areas. So now take 2 or maybe 3 attorneys for that firm that have your practice area, but that attorney specifically works on it, and make a list of those. Well, you might say, well, that's 2 per case times 20. That's 40 attorneys. That's right. You're going to have a list of 40 attorneys. So far, you could do all this in probably 20 minutes. You're not spending all day doing it. You could do all this work in 20 minutes. Now comes the hard part. You're going to take that list of 20 attorneys and you're going to look up their bar association number. You can do that on Martindale. And you're going to get their bar number and maybe put it in a spreadsheet. Joe Schmo, bar number 1234. Sally Smith, bar number 4567, whatever. And then you're going to go into the court system of your county online. Almost every county has a court system online to look up cases, to look up dockets. And you're going to look to see if those attorneys are actively doing cases. Each one of them. Because you do not want to hire an attorney that does not like going to court. Many, many attorneys don't like going to court. You might think, well, isn't that the whole idea of being an attorney, going to court? It's not. Most attorneys don't like getting up from their desk, leaving the comfort of their office, schlepping down to court, going through security, waiting at the courthouse for the judge, and it's a waste of time because several hours of that you're doing nothing for a hearing. Sometimes the judge is late, the case runs late, you're just sitting around the courthouse. Have you ever been to the Department of Motor Vehicles? Have you ever been to a government office? Is it more or less comfortable than your home or your business? Attorneys don't like being there either. So it's a hardship to go to court. Attorneys that go to court are rare. Most attorneys just like to do motions and filings and depositions in their office. They don't want to go to court. So look at that list of 40, find out which ones are actually going to court. How do you find that out? Well, look to see if their name even shows up in the docket. Are they even filing anything with the court? But just because you see their name doesn't mean that they're actually showing up in court. It could be that they're filing a motion, they're filing an appearance. Look at the actual record to see, was this a trial? Was it litigation? Did they make an appearance in court, or they just filed a document? So now you can take that list of 40, narrow it down. I guarantee you're going to be less than 10 after you do that. You might be 7 or 8 of that list of 40. Is that going to take some time? Absolutely. That might take an hour and a half to go through that list, cutting and pasting and putting their name in. Now you have a list of 7 attorneys that you know have your practice area, they're in your geographic area, and they actually go to court. Then you're going to contact them. Only then. Don't jump the gun. Only then contact them. And the way you start your contact is extremely, extremely important. You do not want to send them a message that describes your whole case. Here's my case. I got this. This is the problem. The person's a jerk. I want to sue them. I want to win money, whatever. All you want to do in your first message is say, I'm inquiring about how to talk to you, the best way to learn about possibly doing a case. Very vague, very open-ended. I'm inquiring to see about what's the method of discussing with you the possibility of doing a case. You're not even inquiring to hire them. Don't tell them you want to hire them. Tell them you just want to talk to them about possibly doing a case. Because here's why. Attorneys get many, many inquiries a day. When an inquiry comes in, the default in their head is, why do I not want this case? You might not think that makes any sense. They're a business. They want more business. Like the cell phone store wants to sell another phone. Best Buy wants to sell another TV. You would think the lawyer wants to sell another case. They don't want to sell another case. They want to find a way to not take your case. So if they get an inquiry from you that's very general, very vague, doesn't tell you what kind of case it is, now you have their curiosity. Now they don't have any reason to not talk to you. Right? And all you're asking them to do is talk to them. You're not asking to take my case. Because to attorneys, the clients that come in are like zombies coming at them. Just hordes of people coming at them trying to force a case on them. Don't be one of them. Just be somebody that says, hey, I just want to talk to you about a case. Getting an attorney to agree to talk to you is an easier sale. It's a lower ask than asking an attorney to take your case. You're not to that point yet. It's kind of like if you were dating somebody and you ask them, first thing is, do you want to marry me? You just want to ask, hey, can we go for coffee? That's how you want to handle your first contact with an attorney. It will set you apart from the other plaintiffs or clients that are coming to them, begging them to take the case from the first statement. That gives the attorney a bad vibe that you're a high maintenance client. You're already like just jumping the gun. It's a little bit too soon, a little bit too forward. First message, hey, I want to see about what's the best way to talk to you about maybe seeing about a case. Inquiry. That's all it is. You don't say I want to hire you. What you're trying to sell at that point is you're trying to sell a conversation. All you want to do is get them to agree to talk to you. That's it. You don't want to agree to do a case. You don't want to agree to anything else. You just want to get them to agree to have a conversation with you. That's it. You can pitch your case then. You ever talk to a car dealer? You ever contact a car dealer about a car on their lot? You ever notice that the car dealer, all they want to do is get you in the door to talk to you? They don't try to sell you a car over the phone. If you text them, they're not trying to say, hey, buy this car. All they're trying to do is get you in the door. And a lot of times you don't want to come in the door. You just want to get a price. You just want to get your payment or your financing information. And all they want to do is say, hey, when can you come down and talk to us? When's a good time to make an appointment? You want to know why they do that? Because they want to get you in front of them to give you information about the car. They want to sell you. They can't sell you over the phone. Use that same mentality with a lawyer. All you want to do is get in front of them. Even if you have to pay a fee, their hourly rate, to talk to them for an hour, it's worth doing. So contact those 6 or 7 or 8 attorneys. Inquire about, hey, I want to just, what's the best way to arrange a conversation to talk to you about a case? That's it. If you send that message to all 7 or 8 of those attorneys, you might get back 4 or 5 responses. Half of them will never answer your email. Period. So now you're down to 4 or 5. Now, how do you contact them? Don't do it through the main website contact form. Don't use that form that says, hey, contact us and fill it in. Find the email for that actual attorney. On their page, the About Us page, it might have their email address in their bio. If it doesn't, look on the site to see if you can find their email. Maybe do a Google search to see if their email address shows up somewhere else. Maybe find on their website somebody else's email. For example, maybe the bookkeeper has their email on the website, their email address, and maybe their bookkeeper is Sally Smith, and their email is sally.smith@xyzlawfirm.com. What does that tell you? It tells you that they use their name with a dot in between to make their email. So if your attorney you're trying to contact is Joe Schmo, you just send it to joe.schmo@xyzlawfirm.com. Right? Don't send it through the main law firm contact page. Find a very specific email for the person. If you can't find it, figure out what it might be. Send it out to all 7 or 8 of those. You are going to get back maybe half, 4 or 5. Now you're down to 4 or 5 contacts. See what they say. Depending on what they say, you're going to have to take it from there. All you're trying to do at that point is not trying to get them to take the case, not trying to tell your whole story, because I can guarantee you, if right now I called you up and I said, hey, tell me about your case, you could talk for hours about everything you know about the case. This person's a jerk. I looked up his information. This is what they're doing. You could ramble on for hours. Nobody wants to hear that at this point. It's just going to turn them off. So don't do it over the phone. Don't even do it when you get there. All you want to do at this point is get in front of them. Make an appointment, either video live conference, or in person. What do you do when you have that conversation? Well, let's take a look. When you show up for that conversation, either in person or by video, you want to have 3 things going for you. One is, obviously, you want to present yourself well. Look at it like it's a job interview. And you might think, well, aren't I interviewing them? Aren't they working for me? Yeah, they are, but in reality, they're the one holding all the cards. You need them more than they need you. If you don't hire them or they don't take your case, there's 20 more people behind you that want to hire them. So flip the script. Present yourself well. Present yourself professional. Because for the attorney, it's not about the money. It's not about, well, I'm going to get somebody to pay my fee. It's about, how hard is this person going to be to work with? If you ask an attorney about their last 20 clients, nobody's going to really think about how much they got paid. They're going to say, this one was a nightmare. This one was a bad client, high maintenance. Believe me when I tell you. Ask anybody you know who's an attorney. So don't be that. Don't even make it seem like you're going to be that. If you show up professional, at least, you don't have to be suit and tie, but at least look like you're a professional, intellectual person to deal with, a serious person to deal with. Right? What else do you need to bring with you? Well, bring a piece of paper that has the basics of your case in an outline on 1 page of paper. That's it. The basics, your name, the other party's name, what the controversy is about, maybe dollar amounts, maybe a couple facts. It should fit on 1 piece of paper. And I don't mean like paragraphs of text run together. I mean bullet points in an outline on 1 sheet of paper. That's it. Because that's the only conversation you want to have. Now, also bring with you every single last document that you have about your case. I guarantee you have a lot of records. You've done research. You've saved receipts. You've saved everything. You've got copies of voicemails, emails, text messages, Facebook printouts. You got everything. You've done a lot of work on this. I guarantee it. Have it with you in your briefcase, in a file folder, in your purse, wherever it is. But do not take that out by any means unless the attorney begs you for it. Don't even tell him you have it. Just have it in reserve in case it comes up. It's going to be less than 10% of the time, maybe 5% of the time you'll need to do that on that first meeting. But have it just in case. All you want to talk about is what's on that 1 outline, 1 sheet of paper. And go into that meeting, almost like a job interview, that you want that attorney to work with you. Now, as part of that conversation, you want to be thinking in your head, that attorney's evaluating you to see what kind of person you are going to be to work with. Not much about your case, but more about what are you going to be like to work with. So, sprinkle into that conversation the reason why I contacted you, Mr. or Mrs. Attorney, Miss or Mrs. Attorney, whatever it is because I saw how you did that case with Joe Schmo back in 2020. And it seems like that's the same kind of case I have, and it looked like you handled that well. How do you know about that? Well, remember that research you did a couple weeks before about looking at all their cases online? Well, now have a couple of those in your head, in memory, maybe make a note card if you have to, that you can name drop in that conversation. What does that tell the attorney? It tells them you're serious about your case, you're serious about your research, that you know a little bit about them. It's a little bit of flattery, right? Flattery gets you everywhere. And you are going to set yourself apart from the other 100 of begging, complaining, high maintenance potential clients that walk into that office or call them up that they don't want to deal with. And at that point, the attorney might be jumping over the desk to beg you to take your case. But those are the steps to go into hiring an attorney. Remember, we're not attorneys. We're not giving you legal advice, right? Take this with a grain of salt. You have to make your own judgment. You also want to do some basic searches to make sure there are not any violations. They're not, under investigation by the Bar Association. Maybe do some searches on the principals to make sure that they're financially sound. They're homeowners or they don't have any liens against them. That's separate. We're assuming that the attorney you're working with is good. This is about how to get them to take the case. Let us know what you think in the comments. Are you having trouble finding an attorney? Did any of these things work for you? Or what didn't work for you in the past that you're trying to solve?